This car, when I bought it, it was mainly a bunch of parts, and the restoration has taken 2 years. I've been accumulating parts. There was a lot of rust on this chassis. We restored everything, and now it's a great driving car. Many of these cars were raced. Many of these cars got wrecked, and then many of these cars got restored. This is a very highly engineered car by the Germans, and it's very functional. The shape is really, it has lasted for many, many years, and it's been passed on through the 911 and other cars. When I bought this car, I knew it was going to be a very big project, and from assessing it carefully, we knew that it was going to be a 2 or 3 year project. And while the chassis work was being done, I accumulated a number of the parts so that we could use for this car. And because this is a 1954, it's a Pre-A, there's a lot of particular parts that were hard to find. And through some friends, I have accumulated everything. Well, a whole outer sheet metal from this car has been all refurbished. There's brand new fenders, brand new hood, brand new front end, door skins. There's new rear quarters, cowl, and the rear clip. And we did a lot of chassis work on this car also. So to bring it back up to standard for when the cars left the factory.
The nice thing about the Speedster project is it's going to be opening up a lot of doors to different opportunities. You know, some guys want to race the Speedster, but they don't want to put a $300,000-$400,000 car on the track and risk it being smashed up. So that gives a good opportunity to the race guys. Another opportunity is that most customers don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on restorations. So this project allows the customer to save a lot of money and save a lot of time. A lot of the parts that are going on to the Speedster are also compatible with 356A coupes, or even some Pre-A stuff, and even some 356B cars. So we're not specifically making all of these parts just for the Speedster. We're also making them to sell it on their own for guys restoring other cars.
We're also making many 911 and 914 parts. And all the 911 parts are year or model specific. They're dedicated to those years of cars. Same with the 914s. There's early 914s and there's later 914s, and there's a 914-6 which has year specific parts. We are making those parts, or we are in the process of getting them made. Another thing that stands out about our parts is they're all stamped out by dies. We build the dies, and every part that is made on that die is the same. Not versus handmade parts, which are different every time. You may end up modifying those parts more than the parts that come from us. And this creates extra time on your project. This creates other problems.
The 5-axis laser cutter that we have here is, I believe it's the only one here in Ontario. It's been a substantial investment to ensure that all our parts are accurate, and that investment on that laser machine is giving us an advantage over to the guys that are making parts by hand or trimming the parts by hand. We can pump out a lot of volume while still staying very accurate. Some of the challenges that we've faced building a Speedster body is, I would say the main one is not one Speedster is the same compared to the next.
Not one is the same. We scanned 5 Speedsters and there was differences between them all. So coming up with a happy medium was the best that we could do. So that was one of the challenges we had.
Trying to see how Porsche assembled these cars. You know, there's a couple videos out there where in the factory there's guys that are hammering away on the cars with big hammers, and that was, I guess, an afterthought maybe for them when they were fitting the cars together. You know, hey, this spot doesn't fit 100% right, so you know, Franz over in the corner grabbed a big hammer and started whacking away at it to get it to fit. So those challenges are difficult because you got to find, you know, why they did that and how are you going to replicate that.
In addition to all the sheet metal parts that we're making for the Speedster, we're also doing wiring harnesses for the Speedster, and we're also doing wiring harnesses for the 911s, the 914s, any of the other models. People can send in wiring harnesses to get repaired, or we can rebuild them, or whatever.
Probably one of the bigger challenges in that regard is sourcing all original harnesses. We want to have accurate product in the end, so we're trying to find harnesses that have, you know, very good quality harnesses. A lot of the guys in the 70s, 80s, 90s added stereo systems, alarm systems, so a lot of those harnesses got cut up and spliced into. So even sourcing these harnesses from, you know, a lot of the 50s cars is difficult because of the age of them. A lot of them have been already replaced, or a lot of them have been just thrown out because their quality has deteriorated over the years. We try to get our customers, if they have an original harness, to send that in so we have another reference point. Another challenge to the wiring harnesses is sourcing all the correct bits. You know, sourcing all the correct gauge wire, sourcing the wire that has the correct color and striping on it. All that stuff is out there, but it's, you know, comes from different countries like Russia or Poland or, you know, you name it. So sourcing that has been a challenge, but we've overcome that, and the guys in the wiring department have done a great job in finding all those little bits and pieces, and you know, we're making some great harnesses.
We also are in the process of making the windshield frames for this car. That will be out of extruded brass, just the way the factory made them. We have the windshield posts made. We also have the folding tops for the low bow and the high bow Speedsters, and they'll be fitting to the cars.
If someone is restoring their Speedster, it all depends on the condition that it's starting in. You know, you could have a rusted out hunk that could take a restoration shop 3 years to do, or you could have something that just is a mild restoration that could take 6 months. Our chassis is allowing people to cut that time in half. The chassis that we're building, it can be bought in 3 stages, so it's good for a convertible D, a Speedster, a Roadster, a Coupe. All stage 1 is good for those cars, and when you're restoring one of those cars, it could greatly reduce the amount of time and effort and money that you spend on restoring your Porsche.
Or they can buy stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. Stage 3 is a complete car. Stage 1 could be used for a restoration for any A-type car, and it would be basically just the bare chassis, the lower 18 inches of the car, which is where most of the rust occurs. Stage 2 is all the parts that are attached to stage 1, which support the outer body sheet metal. So it's kind of an in-between stage. Another thing that makes us stand out is our customer service. We have about 90% of the parts on the website in stock. There is no one in North America or the world who stocks the specific type of parts that we have.
For me, the Speedster project was exciting because we get to build a car from beginning to end. So it's really exciting just to see the entire process.
We're going to be making it affordable for many more people to buy one of these cars, and it won't be plastic. It's all steel, and it'll look exactly like a Porsche that came from the factory.